Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the second podcast episode of the Sacred Embodiment Podcast. My name is Sheila, and thank you so much for being here. The sun is going to be shining in my face directly right now if you're watching this on YouTube, and we're just going to roll with it because I can get all the sunlight that I can get right now, so I will take it. But that being said, today we are going to be talking about chasing soul wisdom versus the embodiment of it, and just channeling the pieces of information for the collective. I always, if you don't know who I am, I'm an intuitive. I grew up in a lineage of curanderas from the Dominican Republic and didn't really give a shit about my gifts or anything like that until way later down the line. I wanted to talk about specifically chasing soul wisdom versus the actual embodiment of it, and the pieces of information that you would need to hear right now in order to cultivate this and integrate it into your own life. Because everything that I channel here in this space, in this podcast, is source wisdom, channeling for the collective, but also to making sure that you have the capacity right now to understand it and to receive it. So, channeled, higher self, source, God. We got the intuitive thing of chasing soul wisdom versus the actual embodiment of it. So, let's go ahead and dive in. I might close my eyes at some point, just because if I start channeling and specifically looking into certain parts, for me it's a lot of imagery that comes through, so I have to kind of piece together what that all means. If you've ever done a private intuitive soul support session with me, majority of the time I'm like talking and then I close my eyes and I'm like, oh yeah, your higher self is showing me this. So that being said, all right, so where are we going to start with this? Okay, so when it comes to chasing soul wisdom, okay, so, and I might have to close this blind because the sun is like really fucking beaming into my eyes right now, but I'm not complaining, but I might have to look this way. So the thing with chasing soul wisdom, so this is unintentionally, and it's funny too because like the way that I'm feeling pulled to even talk about this is like, yes, we know in the sense that there's like an overwhelm of information online. Half of it is actually source aligned. Some of it is unintentionally distorted by dark forces. Some of it is just unintentionally like not the full piece of every single bit of information that you would need. But it's sort of set up this way on purpose for a purpose, because it literally forces you to use your discernment and to use your intuition. And a lot of people won't, like, not necessarily that people don't like that, but it's a lot easier if you could just have all the answers with all the steps, with every single yes or no by the books, versus making mistakes, learning, using your intuition, using your discernment, picking the pieces that actually align with you and your higher self path and your higher self pool, what's fully in alignment with you with source and fully being in alignment with source, and actually going the hard route versus having this like cookie cutter organized structure of a mindset, a way to do things, a way to embody things, like searching for the thing that will give you the step-by-step so you don't feel confused and frustrated and annoyed. Because if you had all the answers in front of you and you knew everything exactly how to do it with what to do, you would be missing out on a big part of like using your discernment and actually learning, and the levels that it takes to learn something and be able to sit with every single thing that you learn and gain the most momentum and growth and capacity from every single lesson or bit of confusion that you experience because you don't have all the answers. So when you're chasing soul wisdom, like, it's there's this avenue of like, I can look up everything in the entire world, which I've done before. Like, I know we've all done this, where we've gone through and gone down so many rabbit holes of spirituality, of what something looks like, of, you know, the definition of 500 things. And there's also too, like, the difference of like actively looking for these pieces with the logic behind it, because you need that piece of knowledge for the physical awareness of it. But then also too, it's like, okay, well, how am I going to use this? How often am I going to use this? When am I going to do this? How am I going to apply this in this situation, this situation, this situation? And because we're all so different and unique, and we're all at different levels of consciousness, and we're all vibrating on different levels of consciousness, we all have our own separate higher self with our own soul plan that is, you know, it's already been decided by your soul and source, God. We all have very different, very specific things. So it's not like one shoe fits all, but at the same time, there is, you know, certain things that are like, will always be. Like, there's certain things that have their own way of putting them together that you'll always get the same result, but not even like the same word per word result, but more so of like, you do these steps and you will get this thing that you're trying to fulfill. Like, for example, if you're wanting to bring more wholeness into your life, someone who is wanting wholeness from an unbalanced place, it looks very different for them versus someone who is wanting wholeness from a balanced place. And even the way that these two people, even if both of them are balanced, for someone who, you know, let's say person A, soul A, their wholeness looks like becoming a caregiver or a mother, a wife, having that be their entire purpose of their life, which there's nothing wrong with that, because literally there are souls on this earth who have decided that that is the most whole and fulfilling aspect of their lives. But then there's other souls that they have chose to gain all the pieces of wholeness through helping other people, through a career, through you know, providing a service, through being a healer, through being a teacher. It looks so different, but then at the same time, there's still the same end goal of wholeness. It's just, it looks different for each person. So with that being said, when you're when it's this thing of like chasing the soul wisdom, you can only obtain so much information until the point where you, like, you're not really even helping anything. Like, you're adding more on top of like the analogy of like, you're adding more icing onto a cake, and at that point, like, it's just nasty. Like, it's not even good. Like, it's just a lot of icing. Like, imagine if you just had a cake, you keep layering and layering more and more icing onto the cake. And for someone who, you know, like, if you're really into sweets, like, you probably would want to eat it because you're like, oh my God, I love all this icing. But then probably after a few bites, you're going to feel literally sick to your stomach because it doesn't feel good. It's the same thing with you chasing, or with the idea of like chasing so much soul wisdom, trying to add all these pieces on top of yourself, because at some point it's not even going to feel good. It's not even digesting right into your body. It's overwhelming. Nothing's actually being retained. Like, there is no substance in it, versus like a cake with 1 or 2 layers of icing. You can enjoy the substance inside of it versus the like cake with 700 layers of icing, where it is a struggle to even get to the actual substance of what the cake is. Like, that's the kind of analogy that I'm getting to here. And there isn't anything wrong with wanting to know so much information, because like I said, I've done this. I started my spiritual journey when I was 14, and when I tell you, I went so balls deep into so many rabbit holes. Like, I was down every single rabbit hole that you could possibly think of when it comes to all these spiritual ideas, and like looking at every single aspect of it, like just curious and just wanting to know, wanting to find more answers, wanting to see different perspectives, because I find it so enriching and I'm literally obsessed with it. But after a certain point, like, I stopped wanting to overload myself with information and more so like rooting the pieces that actually made sense. And even with all the things that I have learned over the past 10 plus years of my spiritual journey, I can 100% tell you that I'm not doing literally every single thing that I have learned over the years. I learned them, I used them for what they taught me, and if there was a deeper lesson inside of that, a deeper substance inside of that that actually was honoring more of me and my purpose and the way that I was wanting to experience my reality, my growth, develop as a person, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, then I would use it and I would go deeper into it and really lock into the main substance or the main like piece of it that was the most important and the most substantially life-changing for me, because everything else was kind of just like fluff, like the excessive layers of icing on the cake that you really don't need. You probably only can digest a little bit of it because it starts to feel gross afterwards. Like that's the kinds of thing that I've learned through experience. And what's funny too is like with chasing soul wisdom, like inevitably enough, even if you were to not learn anything, like you're not actively trying to learn things, if you were to just throw yourself in the real world, raw dog it, so no no drugs, no like alcohol, literally like zero fucking things, no guidance whatsoever, and you're having to figure it all out on your own, then you will inevitably enough find all the pieces that you need that will actually honor your soul growth and what's going to fulfill you the most at a soul level. But a lot of people don't see that because we're so blessed in the sense that we live in such a digital age where information is so readily accessible to us. But then it's also like, okay, well, how can you pick apart the pieces that actually honor you and show you the type of growth that you specifically need for your soul development and your own spiritual, mental, and emotional growth that gives you all the pieces that actually make you, have more sense of like fulfillment inside. And just actually being able to honor every single layer of what it is to be you and being the best version of you in alignment with Source and your higher self. And even in the sense like because I offer private intuitive soul support sessions, and I specifically wanted them to be sessions where I'm using my intuition to help you figure out certain aspects of your life that you don't understand. What's the energy behind it? How can you shift it? How can you get over it? Like, what's the deep underlying thing that your soul, your higher self is wanting you to actually learn and embody? And the channeled practices that will work for you that makes it easier for you to navigate it and work through it and alchemize the energy into something better. But that's only done because I'm channeling specifically from Source and your higher self. So if you're not actively doing it for yourself, you're just adding more layers onto the cake, more layers of icing onto the cake where it's like nothing's really sticking here. It's just an overload, and I'm not actually getting to the substance of, like the actual core of what I'm meant to bring for myself and fulfill for myself. And let me see if there's anything else we want to hit on this. Because the chasing thing, it's just like, we easily, like, we're meant to live in this human structure of reality where, like, anyone who is awakening right now or who has been on their spiritual journey for a while, like we purposely were placed in this timeline where we have all this access of information. We have multiple different people saying multiple different things. We really have to be, using our discernment and intuition to actually connect with people who are genuinely honoring the full, authentic truth of Source. There's not distortion there, illusions, fear-based control, because that's so many things that people can easily like dismiss. And even in the sense of spirituality, like a lot of people might not even realize if they're unintentionally picking up on distortion versus like the full source truth of things. And this goes with literally everything. So when you're chasing soul wisdom versus using your own way of like sitting with things and piecing them together and asking yourself, how does this actually apply to me or help me or honor me? Like, is this covering literally every single aspect of myself? Not just one area, but how can this help me with every single aspect of my life? And then what does it even look like when it is honoring every single aspect of my life? Because it doesn't fucking matter if you're learning all this information and you're not taking the pieces of it and implementing it step by step, integrating it in every single way that you can to get the most fulfilling capacity of what that thing or that energy or that awareness can bring to you. Like you're just overloading, layering the cake with excessive icing, and you're never actually going to get to the genuine substance or the genuine core of the cake. So, and versus the actual embodiment of it, because if, like I said, if we're looking at the embodiment piece of it, what does it mean? Like, have you, because I'm also guilty of this, right? Like wanting to look up tarot videos or oracle card readings to get clarity because I doubt myself, I don't trust my intuition, like even, you know, and don't get me wrong too, because I'll book sessions with other intuitives who I know are 100% like in alignment and know how to channel very specific things, because that's also another thing that you have to be careful with. But like I'll go to them if I'm really highly emotional about something, but then when I hear what they're telling me and I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes sense because my intuition was already telling me these things, I just needed to make sure that it wasn't distorted by emotion. But if we're all able to like master this in every single area of our lives, then it's not this external surge of constant reassurance. Like what it fully means to be in your soul wisdom and be so fucking embodied in your own soul wisdom is you're not looking externally for the constant reassurance that you're doing something right or that you're following the right path, because everyone's path, when it is in alignment with source, can look so different, but it all comes down to the actual core value of being connected to your higher self, to source, working through your shit, not trying to cover it up with band-aids. You're not blaming other people, you're taking full accountability. You're not trying to put blame on XYZ for XYZ. You fully take every single bit of accountability and all the pieces that come back to you, because you see how you are literally an extension of source. All of us have God within us in every single cell of our bodies. And this parent energy of source, of God, the universe, spirit, whatever it is that you want to label it as, we are such pure extensions of that, but we can easily get distorted by it if we're just constantly looking for the external thing or not intentionally looking internally for the full embodiment of what it means to be connected to source and to ourselves. And I love, and it's funny because even the way that I've grown in my own spiritual journey, at this point, I call myself spiritual, but then I don't even want to call myself spiritual anymore, because I just want to fully say that I'm embodied with source and with God. And wherever that sits right for me is where it will sit right for me. And I'm not going to chase an illusion or a structure that is going to mold me to be this kind of person when it's actually so way off my soul path and my soul purpose and what's fully in alignment with me when I'm fully integrated with source. And this is where it gets tricky too, because we have so many different things that have so much light in them and genuinely have a lot of respect, but also at the same time is feeding you distortion, illusions, fear-based control things that make you feel so fucking small, that make you feel so guilty and shameful about yourself. And it's not actually honoring the full extension of you owning things, taking responsibility, and loving yourself at a true core soul level, where you embody your soul wisdom from within and not looking for the external reassurance that will bring you the clarity that you need. And I love, like, once again, don't get me wrong, because I love finding reassurance and like even going to other intuitives that I trust for these specific alignment and actions, because obviously if you're very emotionally tied to something, if you're really emotional about something, it's really hard to use your own intuition to know what the fuck you're doing and move along the right way, or collect the right pieces, hold on to the right things for the right amount of time in order to get yourself more in alignment with the true embodiment of who you are at a soul level. It's really hard to do that when you have distortion here, emotions here, your human is this, and then like you have 500 people in the background calling you this, and like there's so many different things of distraction, but it's meant to be there because we're meant to hold ourselves stronger within ourselves. Like we're meant to experience that opposition so we can get closer to source, to God, and to connecting to the full wisdom of our souls at a core level. Because, you know, dark forces don't want to fucking see you do that. Dark forces would hate to see you thriving, fully being so fucking assured in yourself, taking full accountability of your life. Much easier to blame other people, hate people, much easier to have a big fat ego that dishonors you. That is the easiest fucking thing you could do for yourself. What's hard is raw dogging life, looking at your own shit, and actually taking accountability for every single energetic level and piece that you're meant to hold for yourself at a soul level. And people literally will run away from this or shut it out and get so triggered and so angry and emotional over this, because it goes against every religious structure that tells you this is the only way and this is the only way you can be, when that's not true. Like, yes, the only way is embodiment with source, but every other piece that is distorted, and if there's other pieces that are not actually fully in resonance with source, then it's leaving out the majority of like the actual source truth. And even in the sense of spirituality too, because once again, I like to shit on both, to be honest. I like to shit on both because I'm like, there's distortion in both of them. I can respect religion and see the light aspects. I can respect spirituality and I can see the light aspects, but I can also shit on both of them collectively, because where there's distortion, there's distortion. You can't argue with that distortion. So even in the sense of like spirituality also having this thing of like overwhelmingly feeding you this and this and this, and taking you away from just soul embodied wisdom and embodying that from within, anyone can get lost. Anyone can get lost. And it's truly up to us with our own ability to connect to source. And obviously like community is beautiful for this, because it just helps you, like if you can get yourself around people who will not, you know, take your shit, but then also highly in alignment with source and very passionate about soul growth and personal development, you will be thriving. And it's going to be so hard because they're going to call you out, and if you get triggered, you have to take full responsibility. Or you can settle for people who will easily, you know, just tell you this is the only thing you can do and there's nothing else that you can do. And, you know, and not willing to work or see the other sides of different things. So completely up to you. But I hope you enjoyed this second podcast episode. I went on a whole whole rant situation there, but I appreciate you so much. If you enjoyed this second podcast, please let me know. Would love to hear what you think about it. If you're watching this on YouTube, would love for you to like the video, subscribe, share it to other beautiful souls who can find this information insanely helpful. If you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure to, I don't even know what you do on the podcast. Share it to other people. Share it to everyone. Let everyone get upset and triggered. It's for soul growth. We love it. But thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye.